Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode with me, William Wallace, and my show, William Wallace for America. And I'm in the Rotunda today at the Capitol in Baton Rouge, of course, and I am with State Representative Candace Newell, District 99. Thank you so much for coming on with me today.
Thank you very much.
I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you asking me to come on.
Well, it's all about working together, and what I've noticed from this legislature, this not only this legislative body, but other bodies I've worked with in the past years, that y'all really work hard together. For the most part, and that's what we're.
Most part.
Yeah, for the most part, and look, sometimes you have disagreements, but I find that everybody kind of works together to find what they have in common.
Yes.
Well, I would like to talk, not only get everybody a chance to know you, but know your district. So what are the boundaries of District 99?
So District 99, I have New Orleans East from France Road to Crowder, where the Faubourg Brewery is and the community coffee.
Yeah.
Up to Crowder between the river and the lake.
Okay.
And then I have the Lower Ninth Ward from the St. Bernard Parish line up to Esplanade, right before you get to the French Quarters, between the river and Murray Street.
Okay.
My district includes, again, the Lower Ninth Ward. It includes St. Claude, where they've just laid some new streetcar tracks.
Oh, wow, nice, yeah.
Yes, and I have the Frenchman Street.
Yeah.
And the Lakefront Airport.
Well, you have Frenchman Street?
I do.
See, now that's a good street to
Yes,
have.
it is. I was so excited when I started knocking. I was like, oh, wait, I have the whole Frenchman Street.
Wow,
I was so excited.
And it has all this great music, so anybody who's up out of town, Frenchman Street's a great place to visit.
Frenchman Street has awesome music, delicious food, and good shopping, local shopping, lots of it.
I got to tell you, I talked to a lot of state reps, and I hear about their districts and where they include.
They're not as fun as mine.
Yeah, they're not as fun as yours. Yours is pretty cool. I mean, you got a good chunk of residential. You got a good chunk of some business, and you got the river, and you got the lake.
And the lake. And we have a new bookstore on right on St. Claude and Elysian Fields, where the old Jeans Po' Boy is.
Okay.
Forgive me, because I forgot the name of it.
Yeah, okay.
But it's a new bookstore, and I've been excited to get
It's by Jeans Po' Boy, you said?
The old pink building, yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because it's another question I'd like to ask is there anything in your district that you like to point out, like any businesses or whatever? And you just did a new bookstore.
There's a new bookstore, and then, of course, we have the Faubourg Brewery, which used to be Dixie. Yeah. They renamed it, rebranded it, and there's a courtyard right outside, and they've been doing these awesome concerts just every evening. Yeah. And you get your crawfish, your beer, and sit outside, and it's awesome. There's lots of social distancing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you can be safe and have fun all at the same time. It's not family friendly because of the beer, but it's a good place.
But hey, back in my day, the parents used to give the kids a little bit of beer to go make them go to sleep.
Yes.
So what's your background before you became a state rep? What did you do before you did that?
So I taught for a few years. I was a teacher. I started out teaching first grade, and then I went up to teach high school English language arts. Okay. And then Katrina took me out of my classroom. Okay. I went back to school and to finish my master's degree. I came home. I was the procurement director for the New Orleans Health Department. Okay. The Health Department was dismantled under the Landry administration, and then I started working for Delgado Community College as a financial assistance officer. And then while I was there, something came over me to fulfill my lifelong dream of becoming an attorney. Okay. So I quit.
So you back there. Okay.
So I quit work to
you
go
really are a glutton for punishment. Now you're serving in the House, and you went through law school.
Tell me about punishment. And while I was in law school, my second year law school, the vice chancellor reached out to me, and because what I love about, I went to Southern University Law Center, and what I love about the entire Southern University system is that they really get to know their students, not just by name, but by passion and background. Right. And so at the Vice Chancellor Pierre at the time, he called me over across the atrium and was like, I want you to look into this program, and it was a program to work with the legislature in Texas. I couldn't afford to do that because I had just bought a house before going to law school. So then I found out about an externship program with the Law Center with the Black Caucus here. Okay. So my second year of law school, I got to intern here with the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus.
Okay.
And then the following year, my last year in law school, my senator called me and told me that who was Wesley Bishop.
Okay.
And he called and told me that I was going to be his legislative assistant for that session.
Nice.
So I worked with him my last year in law school, his first year in the Senate, and I enjoyed being here as an intern with the Black Caucus, but I really enjoyed working with him because I got to work a little bit closer with legislation and seeing how it was created, and then the work that goes into it to pass it. And I, working with him, I had to go and sit in more committee meetings. I sat on the floor more, and it was amazing to go back to school, and the professor is talking about some new legislation, and I'm like, that's not new. We did that earlier this year, but I'm like, no, Candace, you were part of the process.
Yeah.
And now, you know, y'all are seeing the results of that work. So I got a deeper appreciation for the law that I was studying because I had a hand and a part of the process in creating that law.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. And then after law school, I got a job with the New Orleans Sewage and Water Board. I worked there as the director of board relations, mainly dealing with policy creation and just policy, ensuring that policy was followed, working with the board members. And while I was there, some things happened, and Senator Bishop decided not to run for office. But I remember that I told him and Representative Harris at the time, I said, in 12 years, when you all, are termed out, I'm running for, this representative seat. I said, I'm just letting you know now. Yeah. And I didn't know it was going to come 8 years earlier than my plans. But, we have our plans. It's
not your plans.
We have our plans, and God laughs because he says, these are my plans. So it happened a little 8 years sooner than I thought.
Right.
And I left Sewage and Water Board, went down to the clerk's office, filled out my papers to be on the campaign list, and I started knocking doors the Monday after I registered
and
to
here
run,
you are.
and here I am.
I love your qualifications, and that's one thing that's why I ask a lot of these representatives what their qualifications are, because when you learn like what unique skill set they have, and you having come from a teaching background, having spent time in the legislature as an adult, then going back to college and becoming an attorney afterwards, and getting a good education on the law, and then putting that into practice. That's really some good skills. Yes. So that made you aware of what's going on in our state. You made aware that we got some problems in the state. What concerns you most right now about our state? What do you think are the biggest concerns we have?
My biggest concern for our state is our finances.
Yeah.
And the fact that our state runs itself off of gas and tourism. And although gas and tourism are great, COVID showed us how fragile those two industries are.
Exactly right.
Because all our money stopped. Because we're not producing gas, because people aren't traveling and people aren't going to work. Yeah. So nobody's buying gas. And you're afraid of COVID, so no one's traveling. Right. So we don't have those conventions in New Orleans and Shreveport and Baton Rouge that we normally have. Keep it going. And you being on having Frenchman Street in your district, you're hearing in your ear first. I was able to go down to Adolfo's and park in front. I've never been able to park on Frenchman Street. Right. And I've lived here all my life. I normally have to park on Elysian Fields and walk, or find a private parking lot and walk. And I was able to park on the street, which was great for me. But in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't great because that meant there was so many people that weren't there. Right, exactly. And there was no line at Adolfo's. So I went in. Yeah, so you know how fragile we are if we're going to base our budget on tourism and oil and gas. Yes. So what do you foresee as being a solution? Well, I've always said we need to find another tax revenue. Okay. Another way to raise those taxes without constantly taxing the citizens individually. And so, not as a plug, but you did ask me about my legislation. I asked you because I want to know. I mean, look, I tell everybody that watches my videos, everybody does the interviews, whether we agree, disagree, don't like a bill, do like a bill,
when you give more people the facts,
Yes.
you get more people involved.
This is true.
And then if you do it in a positive way, people might tend to either support. They might not like it, but when they actually look at the facts, they might go, "Wait, that doesn't look so bad when you get just the facts."
Right, and it makes sense.
Exactly, and likewise, it might turn them against it, but this way we do it in a positive way. So no, please tell me.
So I introduced 3 bills. One was to decriminalize marijuana, and the other one was to regulate the growth, manufacturing, and sale of marijuana. The third bill is a tax component for the marijuana to distribute it to areas that I feel are, needed, that need the money in our state, which is number 1, early childhood education, the Department of Transportation and Development. And I have some money going to the sheriff's departments because if we legalize marijuana, they're going to lose some of their revenue. Right. And then the remainder of the money will go towards the health department for addiction services, as well as some money going to general funds to plug up some of the financial hole that we have. Yes. So I don't participate. I do not smoke marijuana. I'm not a smoker. But just because I don't participate, I can't turn a blind eye that some people are. Right. They're doing it, and it's becoming legal in more states every time we turn around. Right. New Mexico is the latest. Right. And Louisiana doesn't have to be the outlier to everything. We don't have to be last on the list for everything. Exactly right. So if we legalize this recreational marijuana, we'll be in the top 20 for the first time. We'll be in the top 15 if we do it fast enough. I love it. That's a good way to put it. Right. So legalize marijuana, and we jump 30 points. 30 points. And I interviewed Richard Nelson on his legislation. Yes. So yours is parallel to that one too. It's similar. I got to tell you, I love hearing about this because sometimes I interview state reps and I let my audience know. Sometimes I don't even know what their legislation is. Right. I interview them, and during the interview, I find out and I go, "Oh wow, okay." Right. But he had some of the same. But I want to hear yours. He did, but mine, I like to coin it as Louisiana first. Okay. Because what it is that you have 50% of any corporation or LLC that applies for a license to grow or sell, 51% has to have a Louisiana resident interest. Okay. So that means the person has to have lived in Louisiana for 5 years prior to the enactment of this bill. Because I don't want a big company to come in and grow and sell in our state, and then our citizens are still, financially You're putting struggling. Citizens first. Citizens first. I love that. Because we have farmers who have, farmland that they haven't been able to grow their crops on because we're importing vegetables or importing something else that their land used to produce. Wow. So now you can have an opportunity to apply for a license to grow and repurpose that land. Start making money for your family, start making money for your parish off the taxes from you growing that. Now, you don't have to smoke it. No. Just grow it and sell it to somebody else. And then we have areas that aren't really set up for growth. Yeah. You get a license and you sell it. Yeah. We can't grow anything on Frenchman Street, but I got a lot of storefronts where we can sell sell an edible or sell something that's infused, and that money will go back to projects and funding for our state. And what I like about this is you're going to give the police officers back some money. Yes. So they're going to lose money, and some of it's going to childhood education. Yes. Which is kind of ironic if you think about it. But hey, look, if that puts some more money in our school system. Yes. Then the whole part of this too is education. Yes. And if you're doing the help law enforcement, then and we've got the legalization of it under control. Yes. And then and you're bringing everybody together to form one bill that says, hey, we're going to educate children better, we're going to help law enforcement better, and we're going to legalize something that we can now control and have in our hands instead of behind the scenes, behind the, it's over there behind that tree someplace, but we can't do anything about it. Exactly. And I want to make sure that if we're selling it to our citizens, we're selling our citizens a good product, a clean product, because if it's regulated, we know what's in it. Now, they're not lacing with fentanyl or anything like that to hurt somebody. It's not being laced with something that could kill you because marijuana on its own hasn't been linked to any death. So we're making sure that continues to be the statistic.
So decriminalization, legalization, and what else? What's some of your other stuff?
I have another one. Is the Crown Act is to prohibit employers or the managers of public housing from discriminating against people just simply the way their hair grows out of their scalp, or from them discriminating against them for their choice of wearing their hair in a protective style, such as locks, braids, bantu knots, etc.
Right.
Yes, and then the
it's
other
about
one.
freedom and liberty.
Exactly.
I'm a freedom and liberty guy.
I am as well.
And as long as we don't attack each other's freedoms and liberties, and we protect each other's right to have our freedoms and liberties, and we're doing it in a legal way, and we're doing it in a respectful way, we can build a better community that has more respect for each other.
Yes, respect and definitely inclusion.
Yeah.
And definitely inclusion. So that's why I bought that bill. And then I have another one. It's not my bill. It's one of the governors. It's part of the governor's package, but I volunteered to carry it. Yeah. It is to prohibit an employer from mandating that an employee accept arbitration as a way for settling a sexual harassment claim.
That they can accept arbitration?
That they're not forced to accept arbitration as their only means.
Okay.
So that's not a condition of their employment to accept arbitration. So they'll have a choice, either arbitration or actually having your day in court.
Okay. Now that sounds to me like, you see, like you paused a little bit when you said about sharing it. I said, but when you look at things like this and you really think about it, that seems to me like it gives women, because it's mostly women that are hurt by harassment, that it gives women another option.
Yes.
And it helps women feel a little bit better about their workplace if they know they have other options.
Right. Okay. And then it helps them express it more or report it. Okay. Because the way most people don't know how arbitration is set up. It's not like mediation.
Right.
In mediation, both parties are in a separate room, and the mediator is getting a lot of exercise going back and forth, telling the sides. But with arbitration, you're sitting sometimes this close to the person that you're, accusing of the harassment or who harassed you.
Exactly.
And that can be uncomfortable for some women. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to subject the person to that being their only means of justice. So we're just wanting to put that into law so that it's not a condition of employment or continued employment.
Sounds like a little common sense in there.
Hey, you would think.
Well, exactly. Well, like I said, I'm sure there's some people who are going to come out against either this or other bills because they say, well, what about this?
Of course.
But I like for people to know the general idea of it, because people, when you create a platform where people can go and look and read and hear about what's going on, then they can look into it more, which I always tell people at this point. I tell them, if you go to legis.la.gov, you can read all the bills, you can see everything that's going on, you can even go watch videos of all the hearings going on, you can see in the House what's going on, and if you like some of these bills, or even if you don't like some of these bills, you can go read about them, follow up, and find out who the co-authors are. You can hear every detail you want about it.
Right, and if you look at it, you can, if you in time enough, you can even send a letter to the committee where the bill is being heard, and express your opinion.
I love that.
If you're for it, if you're against it, send your email to the committee, and you can watch everything live.
Right.
It's not just old videos; it's stuff that's going on right now.
And I see they announce it too. They'll say, we've got 100 green cards, 50 red cards, however many white cards. We have 100 emails for, 10 emails against.
Yes.
And they'll talk about that.
Yes, they will put it on the record.
It's a great way to be involved. Even if you can't be here in Baton Rouge, you can do it from your computer at home, which I guess is an reason for the broadband bill.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
And that, oh my God, I didn't realize there was so many areas in our state that did not have
broadband,
access to internet.
Exactly.
And I've been a strong proponent of it, but it needs to be fair to our citizens, because we had a committee meeting where there was a company that it was treating the citizens in that area just so unfairly.
Right.
And it's like, just because you have a monopoly of something in the area, don't take advantage of the people that are there. Don't take advantage of your customers.
And there's people against the broadband bill for various reasons. There's people for it for various reasons. But again, the good thing about knowing about it and knowing about the legis.la.gov, you can go research it, and then you can even call the representatives' offices if you like, professionally and respectfully. I always say that, whether you agree or disagree. And you know, and their assistants will sometimes take emails.
Yes, and I must say that all the callers and emailers, that everyone has been very respectful. Even the people who absolutely hate what I'm doing,
Right.
they have not been nasty about it.
Yeah.
They, you know, and I can respect that. I take that because
Yeah.
everybody has their own opinion.
The best way to share your opinion is do it respectfully, because then you get listened and you'll get argued back with.
Right.
I love it.
You don't get argued back with, and I send information to those people.
Well, is there any legislation that you're keeping an eye on that maybe it's not yours, that you think is important to come out of this next session?
Well, I'm looking at all of the tax bills to make sure, because I don't want to put any taxes that's going to negatively affect any of our individual taxpayers. So I've been keeping an eye on all of that, and keeping an eye on the House Bill 1 and 3,
Okay.
which has our capital outlay projects.
All right.
I've been keeping an eye on that because I have some projects in my district that I want to make sure continue to get funded. There was a minimum wage bill that came out of the Senate to increase minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Okay.
That's clearly not my bill because it came out of the Senate.
Okay, right, exactly.
But I've been keeping an eye on that as well. So that's about it right now.
Pretty interesting.
Yes.
And then all, of course, we got this COVID money coming in, and I want people to look at that now. I'm sure that you're probably one of the people, because most of them are, that you're wanting to have this money put on one-time expenses instead of recurring expenses.
Right.
I love hearing that.
Yes.
It's a growing government. And the good thing about it is there's so much good things that can be done with that money as a one-time expense.
Yes, we could close up a lot of debt.
Yeah.
And get that off of our books.
Yeah.
And so we're not faced with that the next year when we're trying to create a budget. We've gotten that out the way.
Right.
So
is there anything else you want to add before we let everybody go and they can watch this video?
No, I'm just grateful that you stopped me and you talked to me. I've enjoyed this.
Well,
and I'm glad you told me your background too, so I could talk to somebody about those knocking doors experiences while campaigning.
I knocked on every door in my district. I was a candidate that was known for knocking on every door in my district. I knocked on every door.
Right.
You know.
There was one guy, I knocked on his door. He said, I've had 8 of these in my door. Tell her I'm voting for her. Stop leaving this. Put it to someone who doesn't know her yet. And I'm like, I'm her. Thank you very much.
I love it. 8. Well, but you really were working that district if you already had 8 of them.
No, it was me. I walked myself the first 2 months.
Yeah.
Before I even got a walk team. It was me and my dog I
love it. Oh, you took your dog with you?
I did.
I wanted to take a dog with me too, but I didn't do that.
It's a small dog,
But see, and we'll wrap up on this here, because that tells me that one, you really care about people, because a lot of people, they raise money and they just send you flyers, but when you're knocking on doors and you're really shaking the hands of people, and you get to know them, and it sounds to me like you're really looking out for the people in your district. That means a lot to me. And
that's how I got to know what they were interested in, because I know what I wanted to see in the district, but I'm not just representing myself. And representing 44,000 other people. So I needed to know what it is that you had issues with that I might not have thought about. One lady was telling me about squatters in her area. Not much I could do about squatters here.
It's a more city
personally,
problem,
but I knew what her problem was.
Yeah.
And so then I could reach out to her city council person and express that to her. But then it was just a lot of other things like the Airbnb.
Right.
A big problem, and that's a local issue, and it's an issue that we can work on up here at the state. But if I didn't knock those doors, I wouldn't have known.
Exactly.
I would not have known.
I love that.
So that's what I love the most about it.
Knock on doors, meeting people, talking to people, talking about the legislation, and finding what things that you can agree on to be able to come together and improve our communities and our state.
Yes.
Representative Newell, thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
I
Mr.
really
Webb.
appreciate you coming on today. And everybody else, if you like the video, I'm going to share it. I have it on, of course, you're watching on Facebook. It'll be on my YouTube channel. But if you don't want to hear it, of course, we're at the end of it. But you can tell other people that my podcast, William Wallace, my last name is WALLIS for America, is my podcast also. Thank you so much, and everybody have a great day. That's good. Yeah. For some reason, it has